Greetings, all, it's Max, and we're back. And I wasn't going to do a video on this clown, but, I wanted to post a video about kittens and puppies. I'll do that tomorrow. The reason that I'm doing this video is because I watched it, and the guy is lying. Lion Bryan Part 2, I might call it that, but it's like Bryan is upset that he's not a better cult leader. And he's making a mockery of himself a little bit, and that's cool, but he compares himself to Jim Jones and all these other people, and it's like, dude, you're just a guy on the internet. You're nothing special. But you are a cult leader. Okay, you don't need to have bajillions of followers. You don't need to have people drinking Kool-Aid to kill themselves. You don't need to have people wearing Nikes, just do it, because there's a comet in the sky, to be a cult leader. You have to teach completely heretical doctrine, foreign from Scripture, and train followers in that doctrine. That's what you need to be a cult leader. And you qualify, Bryan. You qualify. So, who knows how long this video is going to be. I'm going to make commentary on the whole thing just because. Just because. So we'll let Bryan talk.
Bryan Denlinger is the worst cult leader in history. I have to answer some accusations that have come out against me. I am Bryan Denlinger, if you're new to the ministry here. People say that I'm a cult leader, which is kind of really funny when you actually look at the reality of my life and what I try to bring out and everything else. When you compare me, I mean, look at some of the big cults in history. You have the Mormons, founded by Joseph Smith, out in Salt Lake City, Utah. They went out there and they brought all their people with them, and then now they kind of control things out there, and they're very cultic. They're the only ones that are truly saved. Again, that's put on me and things that I'm the only one that's truly saved, or my father.
I'm not sure if the Mormons call themselves Christians or not. I'm not really positive on that. But he goes in to talk about Muslims and Catholics, and those people do not call themselves Christian. Catholics do not call themselves Christian. They call themselves Catholic.
Followers are the only one that's truly saved or whatever, which is nonsense. I've never said that. That's one of the many lies that's put out against me. But what's another one? Jehovah's Witnesses. Charles Taze Russell. Back in the 19th century, Charles Taze Russell was a Freemason. Came out with the Jehovah's Witnesses, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. And again, they're the only ones that are truly saved. Very cult-like. How about the biggest one? Catholicism.
Yeah, they're the only ones who are truly saved, which is what Bryan teaches. He is the only one who is truly saved, and his followers. That's what he teaches. Lordship salvation. You're not saved if you go to a church building. You're not saved if you believe in interracial marriage. You're not saved if you believe in the Trinity. You're not saved unless you believe the pre-trib rapture. This is Bryan. This is Bryan. And it sounds like he's just kind of upset that he didn't get the notoriety or something. And now he's going to talk about Catholics who do not consider themselves Christian. Now I'm going to say that when people think of a cult, it's generally a Christian thing. I mean, I don't know what Muslims think. If they have Muslim cults or something, I don't know. But a cult term is always something associated with people who believe in Christianity. The Catholics don't call themselves Christians, they call themselves Catholics. They believe in Christ and all this other stuff, but they call themselves Catholics. The Muslims, no. They believe in Christ, they believe Christ existed, but they don't call themselves Christians.
All right. Outside of the Catholic Church, there is no relationship with God. The Catholic Church is the biggest of the cults out there today and will be the biggest in all of world history. But again, you have the Pope, you have all of the royal ruling hierarchy and everything else, and you can't disagree with the official teachings of the Catholic Church. Now, they came out with their whole Second Vatican Council, which I have right here, in the 1960s. Why didn't you burn that book? I think beginning in 1962. But they came out and they basically were saying, well, we can kind of talk with other people now, whatever. It's a smokescreen until they get full control coming in the future. but another cult. Again, look at the power, look at the wealth, look at the, whatever. Saying more about this as we continue. What about David Koresh, the Branch Davidians down in Waco, Texas, the infamous Waco massacre that happened down there? David Koresh was the leader of that thing, and again, all the characteristics of a cult. They're the ones that are right, everybody else is wrong.
Nobody disagrees with that.
People coming there, moving there and things, living on the compound, and I'll say...
Yeah, voluntarily, and the feds should not have burned them down under Janet Reno. It was a terrible thing. But David Koresh wasn't on the internet spewing garbage. He was spewing garbage locally, and people like the guy.
Say more as we continue about the whole thing. Jim Jones, another one, the People's Temple. Again, Jim Jones, the charismatic cult leader, and he really was a Pentecostal charismatic. Got into that whole movement, the healing and the speaking in tongues and all the other stuff, and ended up going down to South America. I said Africa in one of my other studies and things, my study on Jim Jones and whatever else, because it was, I always get the thing mixed up, Guyana versus Ghana or something like this.
Yeah,
made a mistake.
In the 70s. Okay.
I've apologized about that in the past, but, but he goes down there, ends up having all of his members, I don't remember how many it was, a couple hundred or something, and they all drink Kool-Aid laced with cyanide, I think, and they all, or arsenic, a poison. They drink Kool-Aid and they, died. Mass suicide, in other words. A cult. Clearly a cult.
Yeah.
What about...
You see, cults don't have to be that way. All they have to do is preach garbage doctrine. That's it. That's all a cult has to be. Doesn't mean you have to drink Kool-Aid, kill yourself. Doesn't mean you have to have a compound somewhere. Just means you got kooky ideas and people listen to you. Because maybe you're charismatic like that. I don't know.
What about Islam?
Islam's not Christian.
Allah is God and Muhammad is his prophet. There is no other God. There's, it's just Allah.
It's not a cult.
And Muhammad the prophet, will kill you if you're not Muslim, the more radical sects of Islam and things. Again, another cult. Again, a holy city, a place where people go to and whatever else, and you got to subscribe to those teachings and those teachings alone, and they're having you dress certain ways and whatever else. Okay? So let's go through some of these characteristics of a cult and show you why I am the worst cult leader out there.
A system of religious veneration and devotion directed toward a particular figure or object. A relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister. A misplaced or excessive admiration for a particular person or thing. Okay? I don't apply this to other systems of religion. I don't say that Buddhism is a cult, and Islam is a cult, and all this other stuff. It's generally referring to Christianity.
Out there. I mean, if I'm truly a cult leader and I'm the head of the Denlinger Right cult and whatever else, and I have all my Denlinger rights and things,
you do.
I'm going to show you why I am doing a terrible job at this. Okay?
Well, you've got JT Does out there who dresses just like you and is growing a beard to look like you and is preaching the same crap that you preach. Who's a kid. And you got that other kid on, that Jeremy whatever channel, Rod of Iron or whatever, doing the same thing. They didn't get that from the Bible. They got that from you.
Point number one. I don't have a church building.
Oh my!
Jim Jones had a church building.
Oh.
David Koresh had a church building.
He's more pious because he doesn't have a building. He's more pious because he does not have a church building, you see. He can't be a cult leader. He's saying that anybody with a church building is a cult leader. That's what he is implying. So I'm just going to look it up. This is, how many churches does America have? Okay. We're going to go right down here and... Using the National Congregation Study, NCS, conducted in 2006 and 2012, he estimates the number of congregations in the U.S. has increased from 336,000 to a peak of 414,000. 414,000 cult leaders, I guess? Is that what this is what Bryan is insinuating. And this is just Christianity. We're not talking Islam. We're not talking Buddhism. We're not talking any of that. 414,000 churches. They're all cults, according to Bryan, because they all have a building and a congregation. See, Bryan is proud of the fact he doesn't have a congregation. He's proud of that.
Church buildings, okay? The Mormons, the Mormon Temple in Salt Lake City. All right, Jehovah's Witnesses, they have their Kingdom Halls. Again, you got to get people to come in there to a building where they can not be exposed to anything else, and you can use all the different tactics of mind control.
You mean like Patreon, don't you, Bryan? Don't you? Where you don't take comments and you ban anybody and anything and anyone who says anything bad about you or questions you, like Chad Wilson did. You throw him out. You throw him out. You have your online building. That's what you got. That's what you got. And you're just mad you don't have the notoriety.
And there was St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. You have all the huge, big, massive pipe organ and the gigantic cathedral ceilings and all the other stuff and all the pomp and pageantry and everything else with the robes and the gold gilded threading and all that stuff. You see? You can mind control the people. I don't even have a church building, you know?
Oh my.
What about Islam?
Yeah, exactly. You don't even have a church building. And you're ordained by nobody except yourself. That's exactly it, Bryan. You don't even have a church building or a congregation. You don't have nothing. All of the money that you take in from all of your donations goes into your back pocket. And then you can go pay for whatever your wife wants and whatever your kid needs. Go buy them some G.I. Joes. Get yourself some trucks and some four-wheelers and some property somewhere. Instead of having a church building. Because you're not a real pastor. You're a cult leader.
Again, Islam, big, huge temples and things and mosques and whatever else. Number two, so I don't have a church building, so I'm failing miserably there as a cult leader. Number two, we have no wilderness compound. A lot of these guys, you know, David Koresh
No
down there in the middle of nowhere
compound?
in Waco, Texas, they had the...
See how much this guy lies? He has no wilderness compound. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He mentions it many a times. He says he's building a tiny house there, and then he's buying another property adjacent to it as a ministry headquarters. He's got all this money to buy all this stuff. You don't call that a compound? I don't know.
The Branch Davidian compound there. The Branch Davidians were a splinter group of the Seventh-day Adventist cult. There was this woman that was down there, don't remember what her name was, but she was down there, and she was the head of this Branch Davidian thing, and she was an old woman, and David Koresh went down and was fornicating with her because that was part of their ritual ceremony thing, the joining of God and Goddess. Not going to get into much more of that, but that's what they were teaching. Again, I've researched this thing. And they had this thing, and all the people came to this compound and whatever else, and they were all living there communally and all this and everything. And I don't have anything like that. Okay, I'll say more about that in just a couple minutes here.
You don't have anything like that because you are a recluse and you don't want to deal with people at all. You're a jerk, man. You're just a jerk. You really sound like a really kind of a dickhead neighbor is what you know, in a lot of the videos, I did one where you're yelling at the church who's having like a rock concert or something, doing a fundraiser, and you're just a jerk. You're a dick neighbor, man. You're a dick. You know what happens with me and how a Christian should act? I had a neighbor come to me last night and was like, I'll give you $25 if you move my brush and take it down to the recycling place. And I looked at his brush pile, and it was like a little piddly thing, and I'm like, dude, I'll just burn that in my fire pit. Don't worry about it. And I invited him over for a barbecue. He's offering to pay me money, and I'm inviting him for food. And I said, I don't want any money, man. I'm just burning my pit. That's what Christian neighbors do. This jerk, oh, no, 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 no. He's calling the coppers. He's calling the coppers.
Jim Jones, again, the People's Temple, starts out there, out in California, I think it was. And then they go down to South America, and they buy this land down there, this remote land, and they all going down there, they're going to live in this communal type of a thing with Jim Jones as their leader. All right. Then you get into a lot of the other ones there. I'm not going to get into the whole thing. But people say, well, you have land out in the wilderness of northern Maine. Yeah. And located in none of your business, Maine.
Oh, none of your business, Maine. I'm going to dox you. Maybe I should put your address in the description, right? You already have it on the internet, on that video where you're screaming at the rock band. You already have your address out there. Should I put your address on there just for no reason like you did with me? Should I do that, Brian? Do you think? Do you think I should do that? Is that a Christian thing to do? Punk.
Say it that way. But, yeah, we bought some remote land. You know
With
why?
what money?
So we can get away from people.
So I can get away from people. So I can get. I'm a preacher, but I don't want to be around people. I never want to be around people. I never want to see people again. I'm a preacher. No. He says he's a street preacher. I'm a street Oh no, street preaching this year. This year in the last 6 months is evil, but before that he was a street preacher. But I'm gonna buy some remote land in the middle of nowhere and set up my cult. This guy, man, you know, the words that come out of his mouth, that he actually films himself on screen, is amazing. It's amazing what this guy says.
You say, isolationism. No, it's called just, people want to go on vacation. They want to go to some mountain cabin that's not around other people.
I told you. That property that he's setting up his little cabin at was his vacation home. And that's what you guys are paying for with your Patreon and with everything else. You're paying for his vacation home. Okay? You're not feeding the ministry. You're not fueling, buying him computers to run a better internet ministry. You're not doing any of that. You're paying for his truck that he doesn't want to fix. You're paying for his four-wheeler, and you're paying for his vacation property. He just said it's a vacation spot. He just said it. Where is he getting the money from? You guys.
I work in town. I'm in town
You don't work, Brian. You work in town. You work in town. Where? What do? You work in town. You could run your ministry out of the front seat of your car on an iPhone. But iPhones are evil. So you can't do that. Right? You literally could. He could just sit in front of his iPhone in the front seat of his car and do everything that he's doing here. What, he needs to have a house so he can have a bookshelf there? He could do his ministry anywhere. Anywhere. For nothing. For free.
Right now. All right. But I want to be able to go to my property, get out away from all the noise and all the other stuff and whatever else.
All the noise in your town that has like a couple hundred people in it, maybe. I wouldn't even think that. You're in a pretty remote location. I live in a town of about 6,000 people, and there is nothing going on after 5 o'clock. There is no noise. New Year's Eve last year, there was nothing going on. No noise, no nothing, no cars, no traffic. Because I'm in a fairly remote location, but there's a lot of people here. This guy lives in a place that's got a couple hundred people, and he wants to get away from the noise? Get away from the noise? What?
How's that me being the head of a cult? Again, I'm doing a real poor job there. I mean, nobody that I'm associated with, none of my followers have ever even stepped foot on my property.
Of course not.
Probably not many ever will.
Yeah, because you kick them out. you keep your stuff a secret. And at one point in time, I was going to go visit you. But I know that would have been a mistake because that's like, for me, 2,000 miles, something like that, 1,800. And I know now, you would just be like, go F off. That's what you would do. You don't care. You don't want to be around anybody. Anybody. You just want yourself and your camera. And you want to try and pretend you're a pastor. That's not how ministry works, man. It's not how ministry works. You talk to people. That's how it works.
I'm not going to be building a compound there. Again, where am I getting the money for the compound? That's one of my favorite things.
Where are you getting the money for your property?
I want to build a compound. Where am I getting the money?
Yeah, where are you getting the money?
I mean, we're going to build a cabin on the thing or some little tiny cabin.
Yeah, a vacation cabin. Where are you getting the money for that? And is that the body of Christ problem to pay for your little tiny house? No. Or the building that you want to buy that's adjacent to that property for a quote-unquote ministry headquarters? We're paying for that. We're paying for that. Okay?
You know, a tiny home on our property. But I'm in danger. I'm building a compound. Okay, I'd sure like to know where this money's coming from.
You're starting to build a compound. You didn't have any qualms at all about buying this house. You said, well, it's been on the market for a long time, and it was up for sale for $40,000 or something like that. And you had no qualms about like, well, $40,000 isn't a lot of money, and we'll hopefully get that. And it's going to take a lot of work to fix up, but we'll hopefully get that. And that'll be the new ministry headquarters. It's a lot closer to the property, and blah 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 blah. You got $40K in the bank, just ready to sign a check to go buy the place. Where'd that money come from, Mr. Working in Town guy?
People are crazy in the head. A lot of people are delusional that are enemies of this ministry. It's just funny. No name elevation. Okay, another sure sign of somebody who's not the head of a cult is they're not elevating their name to a point of being worshipped. Again, you have Lutherans. Why are you calling yourself a Lutheran? Because of Martin Luther.
What are you going to call yourself, Brian?
I'm a follower of Menno Simons.
What are you calling yourself?
Down through the years and things.
This is the funniest part. This is the funniest part where, he thinks it's okay to go mess with me and my name and where my channel came from. It was a writing channel, and that's where the name comes from. But he's going to dox me. Listen to what this punk says.
I'm trying to think of the Jim Jones town thing. Keep thinking Jonesboro or Jonesville or something. Maybe that wasn't it. But the whole point is people that are cult leaders will elevate their name up to a worship type of status. It's funny because my ministry is kingjamesvideoministries.com.
Whoa. Really? Is it? Because as far as I know, and what I've been told, King James Video Ministries is not even run by you. Somebody else created the channel for you and re-uploads videos for you. Your website is a load of crap. It's a fraud. You're supposedly selling DVDs or something like that on there, and you're not doing anything. You're not doing nothing. So, what are you? Are you Bryan Denlinger or King James Video Ministries?
Not the teachings and preachings of Bryan Denlinger, the Right Reverend Bryan Denlinger. No, not going to see that. How about my YouTube channel? My YouTube channel is named after a chainsaw.
There you go. There you go. But you think it's cool because Max Bauer is a deceiver, because that's not his real name. He's a deceiver. And my response is Husky394XP your real name? And we both have the same reasons for why our channel name is different than our name. It's cool to dox me, though, bro. It's cool to dox me. Yeah, it's real cool. You punk.
Husky 394 XP, Husqvarna 394 XP. It's professional saw line. Because it started off as a logging channel. You can watch some of my old videos where I'm felling,
Why don't
cutting
you?
timber and
And you
stuff.
know what? I went back to his oldest videos, and he has like 2 videos of him cutting trees, and a couple of videos of him doing wood carving. So there was only like 3 or 4 videos on there. It's not like he couldn't have started King James Video Ministries channel. I mean, maybe he had like 100 subscribers on his Husky channel and he thought he would just keep it. But if you're going to do something different other than, I mean, I have other channels too that are about completely different things other than Christianity. But if you're going to do a Christian channel, why would you not do King James Video Ministries as your main channel? I don't understand. Unless you were just so happy about your 50 or 100 subscribers you had when you started that really like sawing down trees. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why. See, I had 0 videos on mine. Mine was a Google Plus thing, I think, when I started. Google Plus or Facebook or some garbage like that. I don't know.
Felling trees. A pretty dumb thing to do if you want to form a cult. You kind of want to get your name out there, all right? The name of Bryan Denlinger should be up in lights and whatever, but I don't do that. Again, I'm failing as a cult leader.
You're failing as a
No
pastor
personal
too.
authority. I was going to go through my videos, old videos going back through years and years and years, but it just take too long and really wouldn't make much of a point because I can just say it here. Again, for however many times I've said this, there's your authority.
Well, why don't you
You see?
follow it?
So let me just kind of get out of the frame here, okay? There's the authority.
Yeah, there we go.
Not me. Do you understand
Your
that?
authority is not the
I turn
book.
people.
Your authority is Jesus Christ and God. Your authority is the book, but you say that God the Father is Jesus Christ. Okay.
People to the King James Bible. And a lot of the people that follow this ministry disagree with me and show me scriptures where I'm wrong, and I say, you know what, that's true.
Excuse me. Yeah, that's never happened. Lying. You're lying.
Men and women, both, showing me scriptures saying, hey brother, I love your ministry and everything else, but doesn't the Bible say this or doesn't the Bible? And I go,
You're lying.
wow, you know what, that's true.
You're lying.
That's good. And I've come out with numerous videos
Where?
saying I have to change a position. I was wrong on this position and whatever else.
Oh, no,
Kind of a
no,
dumb
no.
thing to do if you're trying to make yourself into a cult leader.
No, Brian. No. You come out with, I was maybe wrong on this little tiny small thing. Not major doctrine. You've never come out with anything like that. You might come out and say, well, I'm not firm on this position and XYZ and brother so-and-so mentioned this. And I said, that might be correct and it's a different understanding of it. And that's as far as you go. You have never did a 180 on anything that I've seen you do. So that's a lie.
I mean, Jim Jones took the Bible and threw it at one point in time and said, you don't need that book. That book's powerless. How about the Pope? It's, the sacred scriptures are fine, but if the divine tradition says something that the sacred scriptures don't say, then you go with divine tradition.
Yeah, but they're Catholic, so who cares?
Look it up. I mean, I showed it many, many times in different studies. All right? Islam.
Who cares
Well,
about
the
Islam?
writings of Muhammad. I mean, you can
Honestly,
down through any kind of a thing out there.
Who cares about what these other religious joints do? We only care about Christianity. That's all we really care about. And, my definition of cult is always going to be linked to Christianity. I don't consider all these other sects of... I'm not going to consider atheism to be a cult. It's just a group of religious people or fanatical SJW idiots When I think of cult, I think of Christianity.
Vissarion, the demented Russian Antichrist over there. He has his scriptures, which trump the Holy Bible, Holy Scriptures, the Word of God. And all the people come and they all worship him, and he comes out at a certain time of the day and sits there and talks to them and whatever else. And they all climb up the mountain pilgrimage, and he rides in on his ATV or something. You know, and he does have an ATV and he does ride. I'm not just being insulting.
Yeah, just like you. I mean, he's making all these comparisons to people, and it's like, when you actually look at it and think about it, there isn't too much difference between Bryan and the people that he's bringing up. He's going to go through to define cults and all this stuff, and I want you to pay attention to that and really think about, Bryan doesn't see it, you know, but he lines up perfectly with the stuff that he is saying.
I don't mind insulting him, but you know. So again, I don't tell people you have to go and be subservient to me and whatever else, like a lot of the guys do in the church buildings. Don't you speak against the man of God. Hey, I'm the pastor here.
Yes, you
do. They do this whole.
That's exactly what you do, Bryan. Going on to Patreon, banning people from your channel, banning people who give you money on Patreon because they disagree with you and they ask questions. Yes, that is exactly what you do. You lying punk. That's exactly what you do.
Whole thing. And then those same guys have the nerve to come after me and try to say I'm a cult leader or whatever else. When they're the ones sitting in their little church building with a little suit and tie on, and people coming around calling them a special title that's not given anywhere in Scripture as a title.
Well, yeah, you call yourself a pastor. And I don't believe that's in Scripture. But that's a title that we use. Isn't the title like elders or teachers?
It's a description. Pastor is a description. It's never a title. But I'm the weirdo. I'm the cult leader. Right. Another one. No sex.
Okay. Well, okay, pastor is not a title. Okay, Bryan. All right. You've called yourself a pastor many a time. So I guess you're just wrong all those years.
Sex perversion. Again, you look at the life of David Koresh. He had this revelation from God that he was supposed to be the one that would raise up children.
Yeah, okay.
So all the men that were involved there that had wives had to give their wives to David Koresh.
Didn't you?
And he was having.
Isn't one of your most very popular videos about sex perversion and porn addiction?
And children to all these different women. Jim Jones was a bisexual, a sodomite. Again, I proved that in my study. No sex perversion in the Vatican, of course, or Islam. I mean, you never even hear of it. Yeah, right. How about Mormonism, polygamy? You can have multiple wives. Jehovah's Witnesses, the whole situation.
What about Solomon? Let's talk about Solomon. Was Solomon a cultist?
There. I used to work with one, a black guy. Steve Cozy was his name. And I'm not joking, that was his real name. And, was married to a white woman. And
why did you just say Steve? Why did you have to dox the guy?
They were having divorce problems.
If you notice, dox is my new favorite word. Now that I just learned it, I'm going to dox and dox and dox and dox. I never knew what that was before. Why didn't you just say Steve? Black guy Steve I used to work with. No, he's got to say the whole name. Talk about his problems with his wife or something. It's like, why in the heck? What? Man, stop it, dude. Just stop it.
Whatever else. He was out fornicating.
What the heck? And he said his full name. The guy... Oh, man, I'm going to have to listen to this again because this is freaking hilarious, man.
Jehovah's Witnesses. The whole situation there. I used to work with one, a black guy. Steve Cozy was his name, and I'm not joking. That was his real name, and you know, was married to a white woman, and they were having divorce problems, and whatever else. And he was out fornicating.
Oh, and here we go. We have multiple things here. We have, first we're going to dox the guy and tell everybody on the internet that watches Bryan's videos what the guy's name is, that he's a black guy, was married to a white woman, which is obviously going to be a sin according to Bryan. And then he's saying that they're going through divorce and he was, you know, dating other people. So he's a serial fornicator. He's just ripping this guy apart, a random guy that he went to work with. Who wants to work with you, Bryan? And who wants to be your neighbor? Nobody wants to be your neighbor. Who in the hell would ever want you to be their pastor? You're just a jerk, man. You're such a jerk. And you know, I am a dickhead, man. I am a jerk. I am a jerk. But everybody, all of my neighbors love me. They all like me. People on the internet generally like me too. I only get 1 thumbs down on most of my videos, and I'm pretty sure it's from you or your wife. You get like hundreds of thumbs downs. Oh man. You crack me up so much. And like I said, tomorrow is going to be a fun day with kittens and puppies, because I can't handle Bryan anymore. He just so talking out of the side of his mouth, eyes going back and forth, lying his butt off, and is oblivious to the fact that he doesn't apply any of his research or any of his knowledge to himself, and it's quite hilarious.
Yeah. Another guy I worked with had a experience at one time.
Tell me his name, dude.
Camping with some buddies, and he said they were having, you know, an orgy essentially with a Jehovah's Witness woman.
Well, I need to know his name, Bryan. Otherwise, I'm not going to believe you, right? I need to know his name. Give me his address too and his phone number so I can call him up and confirm your story.
Yeah, there's sex perversion there. You say, what about you, Bryan? Married to a woman, 1 wife, and we have 1 son. Contrary.
And you spent 15 years watching porn on the internet that you did an entire video series on. You're going to tell me you haven't looked at porn since. Okay. All right. You can tell me that, man.
Contrary to what some of the wingnuts think, I saw, you know, some comments the one time somebody said that we have 2 children. I said to my wife, I said, where's the other child at? She said, what? And I said, this person here, look at that. They said we have 2 children. We didn't even know it, you know? Okay? No, we have 1 son. I'm true to my wife. She's true to me. Again, another one of the telltale signs of a cult leader, they'll get into sex perversion. Like Jack Hyles, another one, a Baptist cult leader with his big church building, into sex perversion. That's why the church building, these big hirelings and things that are in there, they'll get into sex perversion all the time. Why?
He's blaming the building for the actions of men. I mean, really? You're blaming the building. Do you know how many, like, sex perverted things go on in, like, school buildings? There's at least as many schools as there are church buildings. So it's the building's fault? So what we need to do is tear down all of the buildings. And that will get rid of all crimes and sex perversion. And all cults.
Because it's the atmosphere of a cult. Do you understand? I'm not a cult leader. And if you want to make me into one, then I'm the worst one in history. I'm doing a real poor job of keeping control over people. Another little proof of that. I have
You're doing a poor job of keeping control of people. Not from what I've seen. Not from what I've seen. And you had me for, 3 years, at least. And I'm a pretty bright guy. No, you're definitely a cult leader, man. Definitely.
Right around, 25,000 subscribers on YouTube. And yet my Patreon page has less than 250, I think.
Oh,
That's
oh,
pretty bad.
oh,
Not
poor
much of a
Brian.
cult leader, am I?
Poor Brian. Who Patreon goes from $5 to $20. So out of those 250 subscribers, he's making probably $2,000 to $3,000 every single month off those Patreon people. Depending on what they signed up for. Even $5 a month, he's making over $1,000 just on $5 a month. And there are a lot of people, most people are fanatics, and they give him $20 a month. The guy's raking in $3,000 a month just on Patreon, not including extra donations through any other thing, to teach garbage. And this was something that I supported. Sadly enough, I'm like, dude, why don't you do Patreon and do a $5 a month thing, and then your ministry is secure and you don't have to worry about money? Because he did a couple of videos about money issues and stuff like that. And I brought up Patreon, like, but when I donated to him, I'm like, you can just get a Patreon account and people can donate. But unfortunately for Brian, the first idiotic thing that this guy did was mention where his money was going. And it had nothing to do with actual ministry business. Nothing. Here I am thinking that, the guy is poor, bicycling around town, and, might have one broken down truck or something like that. And they'll take that to go get groceries. And they have a crappy house and all this stuff. That's what I'm thinking. The truth is, he has money for vacation property. He has money for a $6,500 truck, another car, and a third car, and a four-wheeler. And then he's got money for his tiny house. That's where your money is going, people, on Patreon. That's where it's going. It's not going into his ministry. He doesn't want a ministry. He just told you in this video, he doesn't want nothing to do with people. He wants nobody on his property. He wants nobody to visit him. And then he'll say he's a street preacher a year ago. 2 years ago, I think it was 2015. I'm a street preacher. Who are you preaching to in your little town? Where your property is. Who are you preaching to? Money, 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 money. He won't bring that up. He won't bring up the money factor in any of this with the cult leader thing. He won't touch it because he's going to get slaughtered with it. Slaughtered. He won't bring up the money. No, 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 no.
So I just thought I'd make a fun little video of nothing else, just have some fun with this thing. I'm a cult leader. No, I'm not a cult leader. I point people to Jesus Christ and to the Word of God, the King James Bible. That's what this ministry is all about. None of you are invited to a cult compound that I'm trying to build here in northern Maine or something like this. It is a remote property, and we want to keep it that way. I don't want a lot of people there. I want to go there.
He doesn't want anyone there. He wants a congregation. He wants you to give him money. But he doesn't want to ever talk to any of you or speak to any of you unless you're sending him money. I'm a pastor, dude. I'm a pastor. Do you see my beard? Don't I look like a pastor? Don't I look like a pastor? I got a bookshelf full of stuff. I got a bookshelf full of stuff. Do I look like a pastor? You look like an idiot, Brian. You look like an idiot, and you sound like an idiot more and more and more every day.
There and enjoy God's creation and peace and quiet. I'm not going to have some gong being hit or something to call assembly of all the people to come and worship me or something. That'd be the most horrible, miserable thing that there is. So if you're waiting for the announcement that I've built a compound and that we're going to be providing for people to come and stay there and whatever, you're going to be waiting a long time because it's never
I actually have it on fairly good authority that the reason that you're buying a ministry headquarters house is that people could actually come and visit and stay. Now, I didn't hear it from your mouth, Bryan, but I've heard it from your followers' mouths. That was the point of the whole thing.
Going to happen, right? I'm not saying I'd never help people or whatever else. Certainly I would, but
Who are you helping then? Who are you helping by running off into the woods? Huh? Who are you helping? Doing videos just for Patreon, not for YouTube, not for anybody else? Who are you helping? You're helping yourself. You're helping yourself.
I'm not building something. Don't even have the money to. I mean,
You don't have the money.
so I'm sure now that my enemies will switch to some new tactic of new way of, attacking me or whatever else. Or
No,
they'll
we
just
don't need
keep
to.
continuing with their lies. They're liars. So
With our lies. With our lies. I have, spoken throughout this entire thing. Going on, what does it say here? 46 minutes? Really? 46 minutes. I've been talking out throughout this whole thing. I have not lied once. I have not lied once. I've used some sarcasm here and there, but I've shown where Bryan is definitely lying. So who's the liar here? Who's the person who's lying?
I'd be surprised by that. But thank you to all the friends of the ministry out there. And like I said, I just did this as a comic thing more than anything else. The people that are new to this ministry here, that you don't know much about me and whatever else, and you'll hear these things, articles that have been written about me, websites coming out.
Pay no
lots and
attention
lots
to
of
the man
videos on
behind the
YouTube.
curtain.
Denlinger is a cult leader and things.
He is.
Well, if I'm a cult leader, like I said, then I'm the worst one in history. Thank you for watching.
Well, you're doing pretty well, man. Yeah, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. That's what he's saying. All of the aspects of a cult that he goes through, he is done, or is doing, in the process of doing. I don't have a church building. Well, you're buying a house for no reason for a ministry headquarters. Huh? And I have been told that that was for visitors and friends of the ministry, that they could come and stay and hang out and do this stuff. Okay. He's working his way up to it. He's working his way up. And it sounded like he was just kind of upset that he's not as big as Jim Jones or the Waco cult guy, whatever. It just sounds like he's getting misrepresented. No, I'm a big cult leader nowadays. I'm a big cult leader. And he's kind of mad. Anyways, this video has gone on way, way, way longer than I had initially anticipated. So with that, it's going to be fun stuff. It's going to be kittens and puppies. I'm not going to do no more on Bryan, at least for a while anyways. Yeah. With that, we're out of here.